Pavement is one of the quintessential 90s indie rock bands. During that decade, they put out 5 full-length albums before calling it quits. There is not a single misstep in that quintet of offerings, but not every album is equally good. Here's a ranking of Pavement's 5 albums from good to great. Number 5, Terror Twilight. When you end with your weakest album, it makes it a little easier for people to accept your band dissolving. Now, Terror Twilight is good. It's just not nearly as good as the other 4 albums. It's a clear step down. The once lo-fi, ragged indie rock band has a softer, more melodic sound. Some of those songs, like Spin on a Stranger, are really good. Other songs are less successful. Sadly, Pavement's all-time worst song, Carrot Rope, ends their final album. Number 4, Brighten The Corners. Are we just going in reverse chronological order? You'll have to wait to find out. Brighten The Corners can be forgotten. It's not the last album. It's not one of the consensus all-time great albums. It's not the experimental album. Instead, it's just a really good album without a hook to it. Brighten The Corners does include the best of the songs written by Scott Canberg, aka Spiral Stairs, instead of usual frontman Stephen Malkmus though. Date with IKEA is dope, though Malkmus' Shady Lane is the best song on the album. Number 3, Willie Zowie. After making 2 straight-up classics, Pavement decided to get weird. Some say they were trying to be combative to all the adoration that had suddenly arrived for them. They were trying to be anti-commercial. Pavement personally doesn't stick that narrative. To them, it seemed to be mostly about getting high, eating barbecue, and messing around the studio. Polarizing at the time, these days Willie Zowie is pretty much considered another classic from the band. It's wild and sequenced quite strangely, but it's still excellent. Maybe it's not quite all kill or no filler like the first 2 albums, but we are big fans of Willie Zowie. Number 2, Slanted and Enchanted. See, it's not just reverse chronological ordering of Pavement albums. Ultimately, any discussion of Pavement's best album tends to come down to the first 2. They have different sounds and also different personnel. For their first album, Malkmus and Canberg basically recruited older, erratic drummer Gary Young to fill out the band, and then he proved unreliable enough they added Bob Nastanovich as basically a percussion failsafe and to scream some lyrics. Slanted and Enchanted is super lo-fi. They were basically trying to make a slightly catchier The Fall album, and they succeeded. Every song on this album slays. Summer Babe, in parentheses Winter Virgin, is one of the best album openers ever. Most bands will never release an album as good as Slanted and Enchanted. And coming in at number 1, Crooked Rain, Crooked Rain. That being said, Pavement followed up their debut album with an even better one. Crooked Rain replaces Young with Steve West and adds a bass player in Mike Ibold. The sound is a bit richer, and instead of being a heavily influenced sound, Pavement created a sound that would influence basically every indie rock band to follow them in the 90s and into the 2000s. You could call it a perfect album and we wouldn't complain. Cut Your Hair and Gold Sounds are arguably the quintessential Pavement songs, and they are both on this album. We have no notes. Crooked Rain is at the pinnacle of 90s indie rock and of 90s indie rock's best band. Thanks for watching. For more videos like this one, be sure to subscribe to the Vents Magazine YouTube channel.